Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about how long it took my raid group to clear Twilight Temple. So Twilight Temple is a relatively difficult raid, and it took quite a while in order for us to clear boss 1 to boss 4, so the entirety of the raid. It took a total of 8 months for my raid to clear all of Twilight Temple. So you guys might be thinking, holy crap, 8 months is a lot of time. And it is. But the main reason why it took my raid so long to clear it is because we're semi-casual. We only raid 2 times a week, and each raid is only 2 hours. So we raid around 4 hours every single week. Because of that, there's not a lot of time to practice, and thus it takes longer. It takes more weeks in order to achieve something where another raid would have more time. Maybe they raid 6 hours a week or even 8 hours a week, then they can get a lot more accomplished and they can progress a lot faster. Another reason is because a lot of people in the raid have different learning speeds, such as myself. I learn things very slow. I need to wipe and get a lot of practice and die a lot of times before it finally clicks in my brain and I go, oh, so that's how I'm supposed to do it. And then you slowly but surely get better and get more efficient at what you do or what your role is. But for me, I'm probably one of the slowest people to learn in the raid, and luckily, I am the raid leader, so people can't really kick me. So yay. However, on a serious note, I want to talk about what did I learn in that 8 months? Like, what are the goods, what are the bads, and what mistakes I wouldn't do again? So the first thing that I want to make clear to most people would be you really need to identify what type of raid you are. Are you super hardcore? Are you what we call mid-core? Or are you casual? And keep in mind, being the super hardcore does not mean that it's going to be very difficult to manage. It's actually the opposite. Being a casual raid is actually harder to manage than being a hardcore raid. The main reason I say this is because if you're a casual raid, people aren't going to take raid times that seriously. So let's say that, you set a raid time at 10 p.m. EST and people don't show up until 10:30 till 11, and then you're going to start the raid late. And then some people have time commitments. They have to leave early. They have to go to bed by 11 p.m. EST because they've got school the next day or work the next day and stuff like that. And so it's really difficult to manage things if you are a casual raid. My raid is considered more of a mid-core, or we're semi-hardcore, or whatever you want to call it. I call it mid-core because it just sounds better. But mid-core is basically, I have very strict rules. You show up on time, and then we do our allotted 2 hours. Once our 2 hours is up, if people want to stay, and if everyone's feeling good, we stay maybe an extra 30 minutes, extra hour. If everyone just wants to call it quits, then we'll just stop at our allotted 2 hours. But no matter what happens, we always do our 2 hours, and that's mid-core. Then you've got hardcore, and hardcore are the people that, they want to be the world first. They're going to put in the time, the effort, the dedication. They're going to go crazy and go ham on it because they really want to clear the content. So they might be putting 5 to 6 hours on every raid day so that they can get a lot of progress done. They can get a lot of practice, and they can really nail down all the nitty gritty fine detail stuff. And for them, it's going to be a lot easier because if you don't show up on time, you're benched and we find a new guy. And it's a very strict rule because everyone knows that they signed up for a hardcore raid. So there's no room for mess ups, no room for stuff like that. While mid-core and casual, it's a lot more iffy. People signed up for a mid-core raid, or people that signed up for a casual raid, it's because they have other things, they have other priorities. Like Blade and Soul is not their number one priority. So how do you deal with people that are coming in late, and how do you deal with people that just don't show up or just come in and just kind of mess around? It's kind of a mixed bag there. Like, how do we deal with this, right? So from my experiences, I always give people several chances. I never bench anyone based off performance. So even if you perform really badly, as long as I know that you're learning and you're progressing and you're getting better, then I'm usually going to let you stay in my raid. However, the one thing that I'm very, very strict about is attitude. If anyone gives anyone attitude or gives anyone shade or starts arguing, just being very negative in my raid, it's very easy for me to just be like, nope, I don't want to play with you, I'm benching you, you're out. This is because for me, attitude is everything. If people come in with a positive mindset and they're willing to learn, they're willing to understand how the mechanics work, and they want to know how to clear the dungeon or how they can help the raid to clear the dungeon, and they're willing to do the hard work, I feel like that is more important to me than a highly mechanical skilled player that can do everything but is super selfish, right? So in my raids, I've always prioritized attitude is number one. And then as long as you have a good attitude, no matter how poorly you perform in the raid, as long as it's not holding the raid back, I'm more than happy to keep you on the team. And if you are holding the raid back, I'm always going to give you multiple chances to prove yourself that you can improve, that you can pull your own weight. And as long as you do perform, eventually, after I give 1 chances, 2 chances, 3 chances, by the 3rd chance, if I still don't see any signs of improvement, then the chances are very high that I'm gonna be like, sorry, maybe you're not suited for this raid. Then we bench that player and then we replace it with another player. Because at the end of the day, people are taking their free time and allocating it into Blade and Soul, into this raid. And as a raid leader, I really need to respect other people's time. If someone's taking out 2 hours out of their busy day to sit down and play Blade and Soul and, participate in this raid, you really need to understand that, some people have kids, some people have families, there's a lot of commitments that people have in life. And for them to take out this 2 hours, they don't want to waste it. They want to be very efficient. They want to make good use of the 2 hours. And so as a raid leader, you really need to understand that, and understand that the people in your raid, do they have good chemistry? And if they don't, then what can you do to fix it? And if it's not fixable, then unfortunately you're probably going to have to make the choice on benching certain players and recruiting new players in order to get that good chemistry. Because if you have bad chemistry, even if you're progressing really well, if progression slows down or if you get stuck somewhere, that bad chemistry is going to explode and it's going to cause a bigger problem in the future. So when you notice that there is some bad chemistry, it's better to deal with the issue immediately and get it out of the way before it becomes a bigger problem, even if progression is good. So it really depends on how you, as the raid leader, likes to deal with things. I personally don't like to cause a big scene over small things. So if I'm gonna bench a player, I usually talk with most of my raid, get their feedback, and then I make my decision. I usually reserve my decision making until I've heard everyone's opinion. And if the majority says that, oh, maybe we should find a new person, then I'll bench him. However, if the majority says that, oh, they like that person, they should keep it, then I would sit down and talk to that person and give him a second chance, or give him a third chance, or give them X amounts of chances, and be like, okay, these are things that you need to improve. If you can improve on these things, then, unfortunately, you're not suited for this raid. And by having this open communication, it's a lot easier for people to understand where they messed up or what they did wrong and stuff like that. However, there's still going to be instances where someone just doesn't understand what they did wrong, and you really have to spell it out to them. And if it does come to that, then you're just gonna have to do that. Being a raid leader is not easy, guys. Being a raid leader is probably one of the most difficult jobs in Blade and Soul, or in running a guild, because you need to know everything. So for example, when you go into the first boss of Twilight Temple, the 2 lions are simple enough. It's like, okay, don't get hit by lasers, DPS it and kill it, right? And then you get to the first actual boss, and then you're gonna have to explain what Soul Burst is to your entire party, and basically not doing the raid, but explain to everyone that hasn't done their homework. And this brings me to another point where a lot of people don't actually do their homework. A lot of people just kind of depend on the raid leader, like, okay, tell me what to do. Even though you gave them the source material and you're like, here's the guide on the boss fight, please read it. A lot of people are not actually going to read it. Obviously there are exceptions, like if you're in the hardcore raid, because that is a requirement. If you don't read it, you're benched. And so people are actually going to read the mechanics, because once you get to the boss room, it's just you hit the ground running and you just start practicing. But in the mid-core, on the casual, it's very difficult to do that, because a lot of people aren't really going to read the mechanics. It's just a different mindset, because people in mid-core and in casual, they aren't going for world first. They aren't trying to beat the boss on day 1. For them, it's like, okay, we're here. It might take us like 3 to 6 weeks to beat the boss, and so I don't need to read the mechanics, and the raid leader is going to tell me what to do, and blah 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 blah. So as the raid leader, you kind of have to carry this responsibility and this burden, and you have to explain it to the people that don't know what to do, and you just have to be patient with them. But yeah, took us 8 months to clear Twilight Temple, boss 1 to 4. Let me know how long it took your raid to clear Twilight Temple. And then we've got Eternity Temple coming up, so we gotta start getting ready for that. Hopefully this video helped. If it did, I would appreciate a subscribe, as it really does help out my channel. And as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Bye!
What can I say except you